Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Your Mic is Hot, the podcast for creatives, coaches, podcasters, and voice artists who are building businesses with heart, purpose, and personality. I'm your host, Julie Eichhoff. You might have noticed that there was no episode dropped last week, and I apologize for that. It was a week where I was traveling, and the opportunity that I had to record ahead of traveling, I wasn't feeling well, and my voice didn't sound great, and I decided not to record. And so because of that, no episode last week. So we're picking up where we left off today, and again, I apologize if you were waiting for a new episode last week. Ironically enough, today's episode talks about something like that. Our topic today is Behind the Brand, Building Trust with Transparency. Today, we're talking about something that's incredibly freeing, and it's pulling back the curtain on your business. You know, letting people see the messy middle, the not-so-perfect parts of the journey, and how doing so can be the most powerful way to build genuine trust with your audience. We all know there's a big gap between what's posted on social media and what's actually happening behind the scenes. That launch that says, we sold out in 24 hours. Well, it likely took months of planning and a few sleepless nights to make that all happen. Or that perfectly lit home studio might be surrounded by piles of laundry and a dog sleeping just out of frame. So let's dive in to how sharing more of your real process and not just the polished highlights builds credibility, connection, and a fierce loyalty. We'll also cover how to do it without oversharing or compromising your leadership. And to me, that is so important. I've always been afraid of compromising my leadership by showing too much of the messy middle, but we're going to discuss that. First, let's start with talking about why transparency is actually your secret weapon for building trust. And it's because people can smell fake a mile away. When you are willing to be honest about the good and the hard things, it sends a clear message. It says, I'm not here to perform for you. I'm here to connect with you. And that's a lot more magnetic. Being transparent helps you in so many ways. It makes you more relatable and human. It shows your integrity and that you stand for something real. It positions you as trustworthy, as a leader people can count on to be honest with them. And it helps people feel safe investing in you because they know you're not hiding anything. I'm going to repeat those because I think those can hit really, really hard. Here are the benefits of being transparent. It makes you relatable and human. That's connection. It shows your integrity. Is there anything more important than you being truthful, honest, ethical, moral, and showing your integrity? Is there anything more honest than that? Is there anything more important than that? When you do that, it positions you as trustworthy. That's critical. And it helps people feel safe around you because they know you're not hiding anything. And I think those are really, really important reasons to consider being a little bit more transparent in your business. If you were looking to hire a coach to learn something about your business, would you rather work with someone who pretends like their life is perfect or someone who admits they've been where you are, made some mistakes, and figured it out? I think I know what your answer is going to be there. So then we have to discuss really the fine line, what transparency is and what it isn't, because this is where some people get it wrong, and it can really be damaging on your business. Transparency is not about turning your business into a therapy session or dumping every personal struggle onto your audience. And it's not about airing every frustration with your clients or complaining about your industry. Instead, think of transparency as a conscious choice to give context. Okay? Again, transparency isn't about dumping on your audience. It isn't about complaining about your industry. It's making a conscious choice to give context. So transparency is giving context to your wins and your results. Tell people what it took to get there. Transparency is sharing the lessons from your missteps and your mistakes. Transparency is showing your work in progress, not just the final product. Transparency is being honest about timelines and challenges and the decisions you're making. Now, you don't have to do all of these things. You don't have to be transparent about everything. Like we said, this is a conscious choice to give context. So if there's something that you are sharing with your audience, is there something you could be more transparent about to give better context to your audience? Think of it like inviting someone into your kitchen while you're cooking. You don't have to show them your dirty sink, but you can show them how you prep and how you season and how you adjust as you go. Okay, makes sense? In business, and especially in marketing with online businesses and those types of things, we often focus on the before and the after. I mean, who doesn't love a great before and after? Before is the struggling and the unsure, and after is the thriving and the confident. But what about the during? The chaotic middle part where things are half working and you're still figuring it all out. And for those of you going through my voiceover course on learning how to become a voice artist or learning to create a podcast, I know exactly where you are in the middle. It's that point of you're still working on like reading scripts and making scripts come to life, but you're also still learning how to edit audio, and you're hoping and praying that you can remember everything you need to do in Audacity to help you record and edit and master your audio files. And that's the messy middle where you lack confidence in what you're doing. You don't feel like you've got it all under control just yet, even though every single day you are improving. That's the chaotic middle. We all go through it with everything that we do. We all have messy middles. Now, when you start to share some of your messy middle, people feel included in your journey. They root for you. They trust you more because you're not pretending to have it all figured out from day one. So, for example, if you are a podcaster, you could share bloopers or awkward pauses from maybe some of your early episodes, things that show that it wasn't easy for you the whole way along, that it wasn't perfect from the beginning. And then you can laugh at those things and enjoy them, and people will know that you've learned your lesson, you've improved, and you moved on. And they can too. A coach could explain how they refine their program after getting client feedback. I do this all the time. Anytime a student sends me a question and says, "Hey, I didn't understand this in the course," I think to myself, oh, is there a better way I could explain that so that all students can understand it the way I intended it? And then I go back in and I make changes. I'm to the point with my course where I get so few questions because I continually rework it to better address those questions that I have gotten. So I'm continually refining and getting client feedback. I'm using that. That's part of the messy middle. It's not like I created a perfect product, put it out in the world, and haven't touched it again. There's been a lot of messy middles when I've had to redo things. Or if you're a voice artist, you could be showing the trial and error of setting up your home recording booth. You could even share how, when it was set up incorrectly, there was an echoey sound in your recordings and let people listen to that and then show them how beautiful it sounds once you get everything worked out. No matter what industry you're in, there's a messy middle, and there are things that you can share that can provide some context as far as what you're going through and also show your progress. This is the stuff that makes people say, oh, they're just like me, and look what they've built. And that's the connection that you can't fake. Now I want to talk about the ethics of trust. In marketing, trust is your currency. And being transparent is an ethical issue. Unfortunately, our industry has had its share of shady tactics. You might see somebody on Instagram who's inflating their income claims or fake scarcity. We see this a lot when people are selling things and we're almost running out and only the next 3 people in line can purchase this thing when, in fact, more people could purchase this thing. And even misleading testimonials, if somebody doctors a testimonial. But you don't have to play that game, and I urge you, do not play that game. You can be honest about how long results actually take. You can share real numbers, including revenue or expenses or whatever it is that you're talking about, if it's relevant to your story. Use testimonials that are 100% real and unedited. And maybe make it clear if you're an affiliate and you're promoting a product, let people know why you're recommending it. When you choose honesty, you might not get that instant wow factor, but you will get a loyal audience who buys from you again and again, and you build a lasting and trusting relationship. Next up, we're going to talk about balancing vulnerability and leadership. And like I said early on, this has always been my sticking point, my worry point on being transparent. It's will I not look like I'm a leader if I show too much messy middle? I get nervous about this. I don't want to look unprofessional or less authoritative or less knowledgeable about my business. The key is how you share. Vulnerability builds connection. We know that. But your audience also needs to see you as a leader, someone who can continue to guide them. So if you have the same thoughts or concerns as I do about sharing stuff and having it make you not look like a professional, I have a rule of thumb for you, and I think you're really going to like this. The rule of thumb is this: share from the scar, not the wound. Share from the scar, not the wound. What this means is that if you are still deep in a struggle, you don't owe anyone that story just yet. Wait until you've processed it enough to share a takeaway from it or a new perspective. So, for example, if you just had maybe a nightmare client experience for one reason or another, don't rant about it online while you're in it. Instead, wait until that's been resolved. And then you can share what you learned about maybe improving your contracts or boundaries or client communication. Whatever caused that problem with that client, surely you've learned something after you've gone through this episode. And then you can share that. You can say, look, I had this problem. It existed. Here's how it resolved, and here's what I learned from it. That's how you're sharing from the scar. The problem is resolved. You have a scar, but the problem is resolved. You are not sharing while you're in it, throwing punches with your client, okay? Or if you launched a product and it flopped, wait until you can share, until you know why it flopped and what you'll do differently next time. So you don't have to share while you're in the trenches. You can wait until afterwards, until you've learned a lesson, and then share what you've learned. That way you're still being real. You're still sharing things that happen in the messy middle, but you're also modeling resilience and problem solving. And that's true leadership. Because your followers, your audience, they're going to go through that messy middle. They're going to have the same problems that you do. What they need to see is reasoning and hope that they can get beyond that. And so sharing from the scar and not the wound will show them how to problem solve, and that they can trust your authenticity and your ability to solve problems. Okay. Now, I want to give you some simple ways to start being more transparent. You don't need to overhaul your entire content strategy to be more transparent. So just think of a couple of new things that you can do as an easy way to start. One idea is to share process posts. If you're posting on Instagram or Facebook or whatever you're doing, LinkedIn, whatever your thing is, show your messy desk. Some of your drafts or behind-the-scenes steps that go into your work. Maybe it's bloopers from video or audio. Just show something behind the scenes that shows a little messy. And it just gives people a little bit of insight that everything's not perfect as you go along. So share a process post, something that's in process. Another idea is to explain your decisions. So, for example, if you change your pricing, or the format that something is in, or a schedule, simply tell your audience why. They deserve that. They want to know, and they'll appreciate your candor. Show both sides of a win. When you hit a goal, show what it actually took to get there, the hard work and the long hours. Another idea is to highlight lessons learned. This is something we were just talking about. Even a mistake can become a valuable post. So again, it's from the scar, not the wound. So highlight what you've learned along the way. And then remember to use storytelling in your marketing. It's really critical. People connect with stories far more than with polished sales copy. So write from the heart, write a real story, tell them what happened, tell them how you grew from it. And that's a way of being more transparent. Okay, so now it's time for your transparency challenge. This week, I challenge you to pick one thing from your current work and share a piece of that isn't picture perfect. And I'm doing this too. It could be a behind-the-scenes photo of your workspace as it actually looks. This is the one I'm doing. If you go on the show notes, you're going to see a picture of my workspace. It's not my recording area. It's where I do all the rest of my work. And you're going to see just how fantastically organized I am. Okay, so show a behind-the-scenes photo of your workspace or post about a challenge that you overcame recently and what it taught you. Okay, so think about a hurdle that you got over and what it taught you. Another idea is maybe a short video talking about one change that you're making to your business and why. This is the explaining your decision part of it. So if your business is taking a turn, offering something new, changing something, just make a little video and explain why. Okay, keep it real, keep it human, and let your audience see you. Because transparency is not a weakness. It's a form of leadership. When you show the reality behind your brand, you aren't lowering your authority, you're making it unshakable. You're saying, I'm human, and I'm here with you for the long haul. Remember, your mic is hot. The world is listening, and they'll listen even closer when they know they can trust every word you say. And just in case, if you have interest in becoming a voice artist, please check out my free mini course, Intro to Voiceovers. You'll find a link to it in the show notes. It's a Q&A session that should help answer all those questions you have going on in your head, wondering how you could make it happen. So find the show notes, check out the link for the free mini course, Intro to Voiceover. Thanks for tuning in to Your Mic is Hot. If today's episode got you thinking, dreaming, or planning, share it with a friend, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Remember, your mic is hot. The world's waiting. Speak up, stand out, and build something that fits your life.